Cheers. Thank you for joining us today for a human behavior workshop. My name is Corinne McCullough, and I am a proud alumna from the English Language and Literature program, and I'm pleased to be your host for today's webinar. We would like to begin today's event with a land acknowledgement, where we recognize that the indigenous communities that originally inhabited the land where we come together today. So Brock University acknowledges the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit, and acknowledging reminds us that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources and friendship of Indigenous people. And as a descendant of Irish and Ukrainian settlers who came to Canada in search of a better life, and who no doubt benefited from the friendship and knowledge of Indigenous people, I'd like to encourage everyone in this webinar to take a moment to reflect on your own ancestry and your historical connection to Indigenous generosity. I feel that it is important for us to acknowledge and understand that there is an ongoing relationship and it must be respected and cared for day after day. With that, I'd like to add a couple of housekeeping items to mention before we get started. This webinar and others that have been hosted by alumni will be available for viewing on our website. This link will be shared in the chat, so you can click that if you want to see what other webinars there are. We are hosting I encourage you to explore all of Brock Alumni Relations website following the session to learn more about the perks and the benefits that come from being a Brock grad. And this link will also be shared in the chat. Thank you, Hillary. And we are hosting a speed networking event on Thursday, March 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Goodman Atrium. This is a great opportunity for students and alumni to connect and to share Brock stories and career wisdom, if I could only speak. The registration link will be shared in the chat as well. So we hope to see you there. And finally, we encourage you to type any questions that you may have throughout the presentation in the chat box. Simply click the word chat at the bottom of your screen to access the chat box, and we will address questions at the
Oh,
end of the
Kareen,
presentation. Yes,
we can't hear you.
I can.
you can? Okay. Very strange.
Tim, oh, there you are now. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very strange. I don't know what happened there. Um, I don't know what you missed. I just the last bit about the chat.
Uh, yep, start from there. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so finally, just to encourage folks to put any questions that you have in the chat box. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you should see the word chat, and by clicking on that, you'll access it, and we will address any questions at the end of the presentation. And now I would like to introduce our speaker, Tree Ryde. Tree Ryde is the director of the Burlington Hypnosis Center and a Business Growth Results. For over 15 years, she has been a consulting hypnotist and NLP master practitioner dedicated to rapid personal development and behavioral change. Having mastered the field through intensive study with the Master Hypnotist Society, Tree is celebrated for her client results and is often called the human whisperer. Her mission is simple: leverage behavioral science to drive human betterment and extraordinary outcomes. Thank you all for being here. I will now turn it over to you, Tree.
Awesome. Thank you, Kareen. So great to be here. Thanks for having me. And I always get excited talking about human behavior because us as humans, we're here to experience and to change. So I'm on a mission to help people do that. So let's start off with some of the basics when it comes to human behavior. Um, One of the key components of how it is that we can potentially end up sabotaging ourselves is how it is that we're coping with various situations in our life. And the truth is that every moment of every single day, we as humans, we are in an emotional state. That's just how it is that we operate because every moment of every single day, we are in an emotional state because there's a situation. And that situation could be anything. It could be you're tired, or there's pressures on you, or you have tasks. So I know that everybody doesn't have their camera on, but if you can just turn it on, if you're available to do that, we're just going to do a very short exercise, and then you can turn it back off. And there's a method to my madness to teach you something. So if you can, that'd be great. Um, awesome. So we're going to do a little bit of role playing here, and it's getting you into different behaviors. So everyone, you're going to go like this to the wall, not to the screen, to a wall or a window or something that you have. Go like this. Go, it's all your fault.
All your fault.
Perfect. Good job. And now I'm holding my mic with one hand, but you can do both hands out in front and to the wall or a window and go, whatever you want, I'm here for you. Perfect. Okay. And then bring an index finger to your chin and to the wall. Say, if one were to analyze this, one would find. Perfect. Okay. And the last one, just move your body around. All right. Good job. Good job. So if you want to stay on camera, great. If not, like fill your boots. That's awesome. But what these are and what you've experienced, okay? So when we talk about human behavior is through experience. Okay, you can't just think about something and automatically it would happen. Like imagine yourself going to work and thinking about working, you'd probably get fired. Yes? Probably. So what these are four coping mechanisms that every single human being on the face of this planet fall into a pocket of. It's how we cope with whatever's going on in our lives. And these were created by a very, very well-renowned family therapist called Virginia Satir. And she came up with a metaphor to describe how it is that us as humans cope in our lives in these ways. And the metaphor goes like this: there's four people in a boat, and there's a hole in the boat. The boat is sinking. And the blamer says, who put the hole in the boat? The pleaser or the placater, so with the hands out in front, says, I'll swim to shore so the boat won't sink so fast. The computer says, at this rate, this boat's going to be sunk in 3.4 minutes. And the distractor says, look, there's a bird. And not one of them is fixing the hole in the boat. So, what happens in our body and our nervous system when it comes to human behavior is that when there's a situation in front of us, what it is that we're going to do is if you're a blamer, you're either blaming other people or you're blaming yourself, putting pressure on yourself. Okay. You're either going to please or placate people around you. So do things for other people. You'll compute. So you'll try to get as much information as you can, or you'll distract. And the thing that happens is that every single human being on the face of this planet fall into one or two of these categories. And if we stay in these unuseful states, I'm just going to share my screen so I can give you guys the visual here. Okay. So when we're changing human behavior, we're changing and we're growing. So if we're blame, computing, pleasing, or distracting, these are literally how people cope. So whether you are in I mean, we all have families, right? So if you look at even over the holidays, and you fantasize your way through different family members and where they would land, where you would land. Because knowing this, then you can actually change your behavior. So I'm just going to really quickly go through each one and talk about the pros and cons. Okay. So when we talk about blaming, so if we're blaming other people, if we stay in blaming other people, all of a sudden you're in a heightened emotional state. So you'd be in anger, you can be in resentment. Or even if you're putting pressure on yourself, you can be in overwhelm or burnout because you're putting so much pressure on yourself to do certain things. So those aren't great. The good things are that sometimes when we put pressure on ourselves, it motivates us to do things. So that could be a good thing. Or if somebody is healthy, just a healthy version of not necessarily blaming people, but just being like, well, just moving along and moving forward with it. So those are the pros and cons of blaming. Pleasing, hey, we all love doing things for other people. It feels good. It makes us feel good when we do something for somebody else and they appreciate it. We feel like we're part of a bigger thing. Um, but if we're running around doing everything for everybody and not having our own needs met, that's not a good thing. All of a sudden, we're going to be in overwhelm. We'll get burnt out. We'll end up in guilt or resentment, and then that turns into anger. So there's lots of emotions attached to the way in which we cope as well. So computing, so people that compute, hey, if you're doing your taxes, it's great to have the information. Or if you're studying something specific, great, then you're looking for the information. But if you're looking to achieve a goal, an outcome, a dream, you really need to interrupt yourself from the analyzing, because you're holding yourself back from the experiences in which that you need in order to achieve the goals, the outcomes, and the dreams. Many people have spent their entire life researching something, and then they end up getting angry because they didn't do what they wanted to do. They just spent the whole time researching. And then distracting. So, with distracting, hey, it's great to go on vacation and have your eyeballs look at something different. But if we are constantly distracting ourselves because we are in our own insecurity about going towards our outcomes and goals, or if we're distracting because we're having a fear response about something. And the truth is about all of us as humans that we are always having fear responses. Our natural state, and I'll just stop sharing for a little bit just to, there we go. So, our whole being is we are commonly in a fear response, and we can't really avoid it. Our first natural response when it comes to us experiencing anything at all, we go to judgment first. So, judgment is fear. We're judging if we're safe or if we're not. And that is us as a human species, how it is that we are operating in the world around us. So, really, I encourage all of you to be curious of where it is with those things that you land. Like, are you a blamer? And if you're blaming, are you putting too much pressure on yourself? Do you need to loosen the valve a little bit to allow yourself to move forward so that you can get to your goals, get to your outcomes? Are you, do you need to create more boundaries because you're pleasing too much? Like, how is it that you can create more boundaries? How is it that you can actually look after yourself better? Yourself better. Or are you computing? Are you hiding out from potential relationships? Are you hiding out from your own potential outcomes and goals because you're looking for more information? So just be curious about these things, because if you're hiding out, that means that you want to get out there and give yourself more experience. Because, and this is very important, there is no such thing as failure, there's only feedback. There's no such thing as failure, there's only feedback, and we learn by experiences only, right? You wouldn't trust a doctor if you knew that all they did was read through a whole bunch of books and understand the books. You trust a doctor better that they actually, did a whole bunch of surgeries or practiced on a whole bunch of things. You would trust them more. So it's the same thing if you're trying to gather so much information, you want to make sure that you are having those experiences. And then distracting, sometimes people can just get into the mood saying, like, oh, I deserve this or I deserve that, where you want to hold the accountability so that you're distracting less, so that you are having great experiences and getting to your goal. So, the next piece that we're going to talk about here is how to get out of your own way, right? So, once you understand about how it is that you're coping, then it's like, okay, well, how do you get out of your own way? How do you move through these things? And it's about making a single-minded decision, because we all can go back and forth in our mind for a long time. And everyone on this call, every human has had an experience. Well, should I do this or should I do that? Or should I do this? Should I do that? And a lot of people can stay there for sometimes years, not deciding. Lots of people, should we move? Should we not? Should we move here? Should we move there? Or should I buy this car? Should I buy that car? Where once you make a single-minded decision, it gets you out of that internal debate. And it's about just making a decision. Remember, there is no way to do it wrong. There's no way to do life wrong. We all live our lives in different ways, and that's great. That's awesome. We want it that way. So, um, how to get out of your own way, make a single-minded decision, and then start taking action on it. Even if it's small little baby steps, you want to go towards it because then you're having the experiences that you need to have to get to that outcome. So making that single-minded decision for yourself is so important. And you can get out of your own way, understanding if you're spending too much time blaming, pleasing, computing, distracting, make that single-minded decision for yourself, knowing that there's no such thing as failure, there's only feedback. So the next piece is what motivates us. Okay. So what really motivates us? How is it that we can get our juices going? How is it that we can really dive in and go towards our outcomes and our goals? Well, all of us have what we call drivers that are natural motivators. And these four motivators are people, places, tasks, and processes, right? Are you motivated by people? Do you get more, do you prefer to go to group classes at the gym, right? Or places, do you prefer to have your own special space in your house to work out or go to the gym? Tasks, do you like to have a list of things that you want when you're working out? Or processes, do you like to have a process or system that helps you follow things? And this is a nervous system thing. So when we're decoding the human behavior, that it really is, we're looking at what motivates us, what will allow us to make it easier to go towards our goals, our outcomes, our dreams. And so when we look at people, and do you shy away from public things and people, or do you go towards it? Okay. Um, and that can tell you if people motivate you or you get more done when you're around other people. So if you're at work, do you work better independently or with people? So that's a good tell sign of if you're a people person or not. And then places. So are you, if you walk into a place, are you trying to make that place comfortable for you? Does it feel uncomfortable being in a place? Or are you the type of person that really enjoys exploring different places, right? Does it have to be a new place? Um, it's interesting. I know that so I wrote a book and for me to actually write, I always had to be in a different place. I was like, I needed something like fresh to like stimulate my mind, even people around. So I'm definitely people and places like all day long. When we talk about tasks, are you a task person? So who here, give me a thumbs up, just you get joy out of crossing things off the task, or even who here even adds a task on there that you already finished just to cross it off because it feels good, right? Yeah, like we all do that. So knowing what motivates you can really help you get to your goals and outcomes. So process people, these are people that need a process. They need to understand how it is that what's step one, what's step two, what's step three, what's step four. And so let's do an example of, say somebody got invited out. So the people person would be like, woohoo, all right, who's going to be there, right? They want to be with the people. The place, well, where are we going? What's it like? So they're going to ask questions like that. The task people would ask for the task, like who's picking who up, what like the tasks that are needed, like what am I going to wear? They might like, okay, I got to wear this, I got to pick up this before I go. The process people would want to know like where are we going, who's going to be there. They want to know all the information. They want to know the protocol. Where do we park? Like what should we wear? So they'd be asking questions about the process or even like rules around what's happening. So when I'm going to share my screen again. So when you know people, places, tasks, processes, so processes or systems, when you know what, and you're normally two, you have a front runner and then you have a secondary one. But when you know that, if you're looking to go towards your goals and outcomes, then you know what's going to motivate you, right? So if you want to do something, for me, I love having people around me when I'm doing stuff. I can do it better when there's people around. Um, Normally because it's fun and I love fun. So, but if you're a task person, then just go, like you want to go to your strengths. So how to stay motivated. It all has to do with mood. If you say you had like a long day and all of a sudden that you're like you still have to take the kids to their soccer or whatever, that we as humans, we can choose our moods. So many people nowadays, they'll indulge whatever emotion that they're in the moment, which is unuseful. You want to make sure that you're picking the mood. And in order to do that, we as humans, we're all in control of our own minds. So when we change our mind to a memory that we had fun, right? Like everyone right now, think about a time that you just laughed your butt off. Something funny really happened. Like literally, just think about something that you just laughed at and you can change your mood. Okay? We we are an extraordinary species on this planet. So when you change your state of mind, you change your mood. So you're changing the state of mind first, going back to a memory. Like even go back to a memory when you first fell in love. Go back to a memory where you had a bunch of fun. Go back to the best vacation you've ever been on, right? When you take your mind there, all of a sudden your mood can shift. You've all had an experience that you're out somewhere talking about the vacation that you've been on, and just even talking about it can take you back there, and it reminds you to get into that mood. It automatically takes you there. So the next one here, I'm just gonna, so I work a lot with businesses, and just give me a thumbs up if you're a business owner or you're business oriented in the way in which that you want to learn stuff. All right, so not many. Okay. Oh, a couple. Got a couple people. Okay, cool. So also, so I'm just asking so I could teach it in the way that makes sense to you. So the majority of people here are not business owners. So, but if you are, you can relate this to business and marketing. So if you're not, then you're also going to want this for creating better communication with the people that you love and care about, specific for um, spouses, kids, parents. And this is extremely important. So many people, like, and again, we've all had this experience. You're talking to somebody, and all of a sudden, the thing that you're talking about, the person you're talking to will interrupt you and start telling you their experience with what you're talking about. Okay, thumbs up to whoever had that experience, right? You're talking about, like you say, oh, I went to Italy, and they're, oh, I went to Italy once, and da da da, and they'll, like, yeah, okay, and that's a common thing because a person gets excited because they went in their mind of their experience, and they get so excited they have to tell you. Well, what happens in our nervous system is that we end up in getting into judgment because as soon as that person interrupts you and they go to them, we feel like that we're not being seen or heard or any of those things. So it's important that when you're in conversation, that what you want to use the terms you, you're yours. You, you're yours. If we constantly are saying I this, I that, I this, I that, the other person's nervous system ends up getting defensive because from a nervous system perspective, all of a sudden, their nervous system will go into judgment and they'll either start judging themselves or judging you. So if we start using terms like you, your, yours, well, you know the vacation. And even as a business owner, if you're talking about your own business and you're saying I this, I that, it's harder to onboard people and it's harder to gain trust. It's about you, your, yours. So the world would be a better place if we all engaged in you, your, yours, right? Because it's about community. Us as humans, we are meant to be in community. We are meant to be with other people. Hey, if it was supposed to be an individual thing, there'd be just one of us, and there is not. Okay. So you, your, yours. And now the next thing that I'm going to teach you is about how the brain makes a decision. And so the first thing when we do anything in life, it's because we're in some sort of pain. We're either in some sort of fear or we're in some sort of discomfort. Like nobody goes out to buy a new vehicle because they just, let's go buy a new vehicle. Nobody does. Well, I mean, if you have millions of dollars, maybe, but for the average folk, we don't do that. We don't go be like, let's go buy a house, right? Like, let's just go buy a brand new couch, even though we have a brand new one already. Says nobody ever. Okay. We are in some discomfort. And that's what gets us to make changes about ourselves, right? If we are in discomfort because we are holding on to excess weight, if we are in discomfort because our body is doing something different, or it's in some sort of discomfort, or we're in discomfort of where we are in life. So maybe we educate ourselves a little bit more, or whatever the case may be. But that's the first thing. We are in some sort of pain when we need to make some sort of change. Okay. And the thumbs up, who's experienced that? You're in some sort of pain, so you had to make some sort of change in your life. Everybody's thumb should be up because, yeah, that's just how we operate. Nobody's just going to do something just to do something. But so the second thing is we find a solution. Okay. So when we are making a decision, we're in the pain of the problem and we are in discomfort. So we go look for a solution. Okay. The interesting thing, I was just having a conversation with somebody that 20 years ago, we physically had to leave our house to look for the solution. Like when it comes to buying a couch or buy like anything at all, you had to leave your house to get it. So things have definitely changed over time. Um, so you're looking for the solution. The next one is we're taking away the risk. So when we talk about the computing or pleasing or blaming or distracting, we need to take away the risk so that we feel good about the solution that we've decided on, right? So even if somebody's looking for a car, maybe the car that they have already is broken down or there's something wrong with it. So show the solution. So they're looking at different cars and they may pick a car, but then they'll be like, well, people will probably still look for different things to support the solution they came up with. Okay. And this is where people can end up in analysis paralysis, right? The what about this? What about that? What about this? Single-minded decision and making a decision. Okay. Then the single-minded decision. So ask for action. So if you are in a sales role or if you're in anything that has upsells or anything, you want to position your sales like this. You also, with yourself, understand this process so you don't get stuck, right? So if you look at this, if you're reaching your goals, outcomes, and dreams, the pain of the problem, if you don't reach your goals or outcomes, where would you be in 5 years? And would you be upset with yourself if you didn't go towards your goal? That's the pain of the problem. Would you be upset with yourself? And so you want to show the solution. What are the steps to get to your goal? Take away the risk. Hey, like you really want to remind yourself you're going to have all these great experiences as you're doing these things going towards your goal. The actions is the steps going towards your goal. So the next one is penalty for not responding. So as you know your goals, your outcomes, your dreams, you're stepping into it more, you're doing more. And so you've got the solution, you're taking away the risk, you're asking yourself for action. Okay, what is one thing that I can do every single day that goes towards my goal? So you want to have like this like spotlight on your goal as you're focusing towards it. And the penalty for not responding again, 5 years from now, if you just blew it off, like how would that feel for you? Like you want to constantly remind yourself. It's like what I like to call putting a fire under your butt. Like make sure that you're double down and like, yes, this is happening. Then in hypnosis and neurolinguistics, we have this thing, it's called future pace. And this is this is a beautiful place that when we future pace things, all of us as humans, we have this imagination. We are creating concepts in our mind all day long. And it's a moving target, right? We can see different things or do different things. And the concepts in our minds, it's like a moving target. And we all have different thoughts. We are in control of them. This is the process of how it is that we can stay motivated and keep it up. But the future pace is so important. When we use visualization and imagine ourselves, so imagine it now, all of you, something that you are focusing on, something like a goal for yourself. Imagine yourself at that goal. Imagine yourself at that goal um, a year from now. Imagine yourself at that goal a month from now. What would it be like? So, even like in 1 month from now, if you did just little things towards your goal, what would that look like a month from now? What would it look like a year from now? What would it look like 3 years from now? So, really get into all of your senses about that. Because when you're in all of your senses and you're imagining it even more and you're reminding yourself, all of a sudden you're there. Our brains sort by connection. And what that means is that our brains look for what it is that we're creating the concepts about in our mind. And I'll repeat that again. Our brains sort by connection. It's looking for what we are thinking about in our mind. So if you are in worry or stress, or you're putting yourself down, or you're making up concepts in your mind that are not useful for your goal, your brain is going to start looking for those things. But you can use it to your advantage, because the more that you're future pacing what you want, all of a sudden your brain is looking for those things. So when an example of this, like, so thumbs up for people that has had this experience. You went to see a friend that got a new vehicle or got a new something or other, and or talked about something, and all of a sudden that's on your mind, and all of a sudden you see that car everywhere on the road. Okay? That's happened to us all. That is an example of what I'm talking about. Our brains sort by connection. It's trying to connect the dots, connecting of what it is that you want. And you can use this for your advantage. So I encourage you all to create the 1 month, 1 year, 3 years, you reaching your goal. So you reaching your goal, how is that going to affect your personal life, right? How is it going to affect your work life? How is it going to affect your physical life? How is it going to affect you maybe spiritually, mentally, right? All of these things. So you're expanding your imagination so that uh, you're literally you can't look away from it. You're immersing yourself. You're creating this road that goes directly to your goals, your outcomes, and your dreams. Then all of a sudden you're having the experiences that allow you to go there. So for if you're a people person, get people around you that can help you get there, right? As you break it down, you want to figure out what it is that you need, you're breaking it down and you're finding people in which that you can experience it with. If you're a places person, maybe it's a specific place that you need to go to or create in order for you to actually step into future pacing it, imagining yourself in that place, getting things done, having the experiences that you need. If you're a task master, you're writing out the tasks. You're crossing it off and you're feeling fantastic crossing it off. Imagine yourself crossing it off. It feels good. So going back, looping back to the mood that we were talking about, right? If you're a process person, great. What's the process? And just sticking to it. Just and creating creating a process that you can replicate over and over again. Because all of a sudden, once you have that proof, the proof that you can do it, right? Like we've all had the experience too that like you in your head thinking like, oh, this, that, but then you made the decision, had the experience, and you're like, yeah, yeah, I did that. I did that, right? So remind yourself of the things that you did. Remind yourself of the proof in which that you accomplished things because we've all accomplished things, even getting up in the morning, right? I don't know if anyone listens to the Mel Robbins podcast, but she talks about that. Like, hey, be proud of yourself. You woke up, you got dressed, you brushed your teeth. Awesome. That's great. And the small things, us as humans, we forget to appreciate ourselves about all the small things, right? But they're not small. Small things turn into big things, right? And it's awesome. So when you look at all of the things in which that you've accomplished, you have so much proof. So I encourage you all to really practice what you're learning today because this is life-changing stuff. It can get you to your goals, outcomes, dreams, future pacing, like in your mind, imagining, knowing now, you guys all learn our minds sort by connection. So also too, what I'll add to that, when it comes to online and social media, when I'm working with I'm going to say kids, like anywhere from 8 years old to like 19. And if they have a cell phone, if they are on their phones, even adults, that when we're scrolling on our phones, each one of those posts is an emotional state. So if you're scrolling and you're looking at like 10, 20 posts in 1 minute, your nervous system is going through all of those emotions in such a short period of time. So whatever you are following, and when I work with that age demographic, I'll get them to go on their phone and unfollow anything that they feel like that they're in judgment about. If they feel like they're judging themselves because they're looking at something that, because again, our brains sort by connection. So if you're filling your mind, even TV shows that you watch or different things, but more so for social media, if you're filling your mind and you're constantly in an unuseful state, your brain sorts by connection. It's going to try to find things that are matching with unuseful. And I can't stress enough, it's so important that you're getting your mind in the right place. You're getting your mind in the alignment of where you want to go. So, um, I'll leave it there and now we can go to questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Tree. That was so very interesting. We now have a few minutes to take away any questions. So if you have a question, please ask it in the chat now. I'll actually get us kicked off. I'm wondering if the kind of mental processes that you're talking about with the future thought, is that the same kind of science behind manifestation? Like they are always saying, like if you
Mhm.
see it, you can believe it, and then you can live it, kind of thing. Is the same kind of
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, so that's even where like people are using the word manifestation. And but the one thing is that people always say, "Oh, I'm going to manifest that," but literally do it. Like
Mm,
literally, like people will just say or just say it out loud, but literally do it. And
mm,
like uh, really create, like fantasize it. Our brains, that's like our natural state is to actually fantasize. We're doing it all the time. So literally do it. Don't just say it, do it.
mm. Excellent.
Hmm.
Makes sense. So,
Yeah.
and I see in the chat, Melanie has asked that you mentioned that you wrote a book. Where can we get it? So maybe talk about your book for a minute.
Yeah, for sure. So it's actually going to be launched. It's going to be out on April 11th. And so it stemmed from actually so remember the blamer, the pleaser, the computer, and the distractor. So I'm very much a pleaser all day long, right? And when you're a pleaser, you kind of get into the mood of like, I'll do it myself, damn it, right? Like a thumbs up on who can do that. So that's the
Mm,
name of the book. It's called I'll Do It Myself, Damn It, sign your nervous system. And if you want to, you can go to treeride.com and you can, there's a launch party or you can get your name on a list to pre-order it. Yeah. So just my name, it's right there, treeride.com.
all right.
Yeah.
I'll actually type that in quickly. Okay, and another question, where can I learn or be trained as a human behavior expert like yourself?
Yeah, great question. So, um, it's interesting, like for you can go to, I mean, we do training, so Hypnosis Training Canada, and we teach human behavior. So human behavior comes through hypnosis and neurolinguistics. So you're understanding the neurological, the nervous system, even how it is that we operate as humans. When it comes to hypnosis, we're literally all in our own hypnotic trance, right? Like we all walk around with our own belief systems. We're all trying to prove something about ourselves half the time, right? Because we hold our own persona, how we believe that we look, and then we keep on that facade, right? And yeah, go ahead. And so it's interesting that when you're learning human behavior, there's a pathway, and it's normally through hypnosis, NLP. There's lots of other things. Scientific stuff. I mean, it's a lot. Like I've been doing this for like 17 years. So that's a great question. But you got to start somewhere and just keep going and be curious. If you want to know more about people, be curious about people. Ask questions, like observe people. So many people are in their head, right? If you want to learn more about human behavior, take a step back and observe and really be like kind of like a fly on the wall so that you can start noticing more about humans. Yeah.
That's great advice.
Hmm.
Do we have any other questions for a tree today?
Anything at all doesn't even have to just be
Mm.
on like the themes that we were talking about, but if you want to know anything when it comes to um, anything about human behavior, nervous system, even a question about like if how do I get from A to B or the stress questions or
Oh,
yeah.
looks like we have another question. How would you recommend someone with anxiety handle day-to-day conflict?
Hmm. Great question. So when our nervous system is in overwhelm or stress or anxiety is the word that this person used, it means that the concepts in our mind that we're creating, we're putting ourselves in worry and fear, right? That so there's certain themes. The many clients that I see, there could be stressed out about family problems, or there's some insecurities, or we're in fear about doing something or showing up, or how we're going to be seen, or whatever the case may be. Where in order to flip it, you're surrounding yourself by what it with things of what you do want, right? Like a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, just be happy. Well, that's easy. Like, no. But there's tools and techniques through hypnosis and neurolinguistics to get your mind in the right place. So when we look at getting out of it, you want to start chasing something else to get out of the fear, right? If we stay indulging an emotion or a fear, you're staying in it. You're staying in the stress and overwhelm. So choosing a different emotion, and there's lots of tools and techniques. So I know it's just saying it doesn't make it change, but understand that it's just a moment in time. It's just an emotion. It's just a moment in time. Chase another moment in time that makes you feel good.
Thank you.
Hmm.
And two more questions have come in. And one is you've mentioned all the different personality types. What happens when you're actually a number of them? You're process driven, pleaser, etc.
Yeah. So these are what are called meta models in neurolinguistics, and there's tons of them. And I just picked like the top of them. But it's good to know where you land. So if you're a pleaser and you're process oriented, that you want to create boundaries if you're a pleaser, definitely, and stick to those boundaries. Even know that as a pleaser, me, yep, um, your nervous system will react a little bit as you're creating the boundaries. You'll default to like, you'll feel guilty. You'll want to go towards and be a pleaser, be even more pleaser, or you'll double down on the pleasing. Even though you'll create the boundary, you'll feel good about the boundary, and then you'll go back and double down on the pleasing, right? Like, who here is a pleaser and has done that? Like, yep, yep, right? Where again, it's chasing something that is on your agenda, right? If you're chasing something that's on your agenda, it'll make you feel good. That little bit of kind of guilt, I'm not going to lie to you, never goes away. There'll be a little bit there, but just knowing it's there, right? It's kind of like dusting your house, right? You can dust your house and get rid of all the dust. There'll still be a little bit of dust around, right? So just knowing that that's what happens, but it's the awareness. It's knowing it's like, oh, I'm pleasing again. And you'll slowly start catching yourself more and more. And it takes time, but knowing, creating the boundaries. And if you're a process person, so it's interesting, like I work with businesses, right? And this one business I went in and their productivity went down. And it's because they had the people places person in accounting and they had the task and process person in sales. So the salesperson that's in tasks and processes, they made a big list of all the businesses that they wanted to go sell to. They did all the research and processes of how they're going to connect with the people and everything. And meanwhile, the accounting person is at the water cooler chatting with everybody the whole time. So, of course, the business isn't growing. So, know your strengths and you want to position your strengths to what you're doing because if you don't, you will be unhappy. So, so if you are in a job and you're finding yourself in frustration, check in with that. Are you frustrated because you're bored, you're a people person and you're not around enough people? How can you position your job or what you do to be around more people? Or if you're like a process person, um, being curious of the flexibility of that and how you can shift things for yourself. Because we're all kind of wired in certain ways, but the more flexible we are, I'll say it to you this way: the person with the most flexibility is the person with the most control of the situation or room. The person with the most flexibility is the person with the most control of a situation or room. So if you're holding on to things, you want to create some nice wiggle room. But know how you are, like play to your strengths, right? So yeah.
I think that's great advice. I'd never really thought about how flexibility is a strength in that way, because if you're so single-minded on something, if things go differently, it can really throw you off. But if you're able to pivot, then yeah,
Hmm.
that's great advice.
Hmm.
We do have another question from Jeremiah. What recommendations could you provide for someone entering a new workplace to establish effective communication meeting the new team?
Mm. Yeah, that's wow.
Big
So
question.
yeah, yeah, come see me. Like, yeah, actually, um, so I'll answer that too. Well, I'll just throw this up on the screen. So if if anybody like has like a big loaded question and wants something more personalized, but what I will say is another thing that I didn't mention on here is we communicate in one or two of these three ways. So we communicate through auditory, visual, right? So we're looking, or kinesthetic, so through feeling. And we are predominantly one of these things. And that's, again, it's just how we're wired, right? It is totally just how we are wired. So, for example, I am kinesthetic first. So I will like, I learn by doing. I have to, if somebody is telling me something, I'm like, let me do it and you can guide me because I have to physically experience it. Um, People that are visual, they need to like see, they need to get a picture of something. Auditory is normally words, obviously sounds, and sometimes those people they might talk a little bit louder. So if so I'll give you an example. If I'm driving in the car with my husband and I'm in the passenger seat, because I am kinesthetic first and I'm visual second, I'll go like this. I'll go like turn at the Tim Hortons, right? My husband, he is auditory first, kinesthetic second. He'll be like, "What's the name of the street?" Right? And that's not how I operate. Okay? That's not how I operate. So I have no idea what the street's called. No clue. I just know you gotta turn into horns, right? Like, so this is the biggest thing. So when you're in a new workplace, and if you find that you're in any frustration, it is probably because if you're like if I had a manager that was auditory, I'd immediately have to tell them like let me I need to do what you're asking me and then let's explore this. Um, so you want to look for the communication and how it is and teach people how you need to be communicated to and do it in like a gracious way. Just say, hey, you know what? I'm kinesthetic and so I'm kinesthetic, and so this is how it is that I need to be taught, or I'm visual. Can you show me what needs to happen? But it's important that if you're at a new job, if you're at a new job, then I'll get that off the screen. If you're at a new job, that you want to communicate in those ways. Know that if there's any frustration, that that's probably why. So again, going into a new job, understand your what we call archetypes, right? So if you're a pleaser and you start a new job, you're going to please everybody and go above and beyond, and then you will crash at the end of your first week. Then you'll get pissed off at something because you'll end up in anger and resentment because you're doing so much. So if you are a pleaser starting a new job, you want to make sure you start off with boundaries. If you're a computer starting a new job, you're going to try to gather all the information and try to figure everything out. Stop it. Ask questions. Okay? Like so it's uh yep. If so always ask questions. If you're a distractor, then you'll probably like go and distract and talk it or whatever, right? Um or blaming. If something goes sideways at the new job, then you're gonna blame other people or anything like that. So you want to hold yourself accountable and say, "Hey, I did this wrong." Right? Or, "Hey, can you teach me how to do this better?" Okay, you want to just lay everything on the table because the faster you move through it, you're just on the other side of it. So at any new job, you want to really make sure you know yourself in these ways.
All right, excellent advice. So we do have a question about a link to the book to booking the 30-minute free consultation. Maybe put the I don't know if the from the QR code if you have access to the link, maybe Hillary.
Yeah, you could just go to businessgrowthresults.com. So you can just,
Okay.
yeah, businessgrowthresults.com. Even if, and if anyone, if you want to get a hold of me, just Google my name. I tried Googling my name once and I was like, oh, wow, I show up everywhere. It's kind of like literally my nervous system was like, oh, oh, okay. Like that's happening. So so yeah.
Wonderful.
So
Thank you.
yeah, so thank
Is
yeah.
there one last question? I think we have about 2.5 minutes left in our hour. So if anybody has a burning question, now's your chance.
I have one quick one for you, Tree, Tim Hauser. So you said the four things: the blamer, the pleaser, and the last one was distractor. There was one I missed, and I can't remember what it was.
The computer.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah, you bet. And actually, when we're talking about that, when you are what we call leveling with yourself, you're leveling with how it is that you are as a human being, right? Like I will forever be um, a pleaser and a distractor, right? But as a business owner, I had to put even boundaries around distracting because I gotta get things done, right? So it's knowing yourself, and then that kind of guides you in a way of where you need to change to protect yourself to live a full life.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for attending today's webinar. And thank you, Tree, so much for your presentation. Have a great day, everybody.